What if I told you that the average American household is hemorrhaging money every single month without even realizing it? We're talking about thousands of dollars vanishing into thin air, disappearing faster than your motivation to go to the gym after New Year's. And here's the kicker that'll make you want to check your bank account right now. Most people are bleeding cash through 5 specific leaks that are so common, so sneaky, that they've become invisible to us. My name is Nick, and I help people plug these financial holes before they sink their entire ship. If you're tired of wondering where your paycheck went every month and you actually want to keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if this video saves you some serious cash. Now, before we dive into these money-saving hacks, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at where every dollar of your income goes? And I don't mean that casual glance at your bank balance that makes you question your life choices. I mean, really examined your spending patterns with the same intensity you use to stalk your ex on social media. Because here's what's happening to most people. They work 40 hours a week, they get their paycheck, they pay their bills, and then they wonder why there's nothing left over for savings or that vacation they've been dreaming about for 3 years. The truth is, there are systematic ways that money leaks out of your finances, and once you understand these patterns, you can plug them permanently. We're not talking about extreme couponing or living off ramen noodles for the rest of your life. These are practical strategies that actually work in the real world, and they don't require you to become some sort of financial monk who never enjoys anything. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 specific money-saving hacks that can put hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars back in your pocket every year. These aren't theoretical tips that look good on paper but fall apart when you try to use them. These are battle-tested strategies that regular people use to transform their financial situations without making dramatic lifestyle sacrifices. The first hack might surprise you because it's hiding in plain sight, costing the average household over $1,500 annually, and most people have completely forgotten it exists. Hack number 1 is what I call the subscription vampire. This little monster is quietly draining your bank account every single month, and it's so good at staying hidden that most people don't even know they're being attacked. We're talking about all those recurring charges for services you either forgot about or barely use anymore. Here's how this works. You sign up for a free trial of some app or service. Maybe it's a meditation app you used twice or a streaming service you wanted to watch one specific show on. The free trial ends and boom, you're automatically charged. But here's where it gets sneaky. These charges are usually small enough that they don't trigger your attention when you glance at your bank statement. We're talking about $9 here, $15 there, maybe $29 for that premium subscription you meant to cancel. The problem is that these small amounts add up to massive money leaks over time. Research shows that the average person is paying for subscriptions they've completely forgotten about, and when you add up all the recurring services most households are subscribed to, we're looking at over $100 per month in charges that provide little to no value. But here's what makes this hack so powerful. Unlike trying to negotiate your rent or completely changing your lifestyle, canceling unused subscriptions gives you immediate results with zero downside. You're not giving up anything you actually use or enjoy. You're just stopping the bleeding from services that are essentially stealing from you every month. The strategy is simple, but requires a bit of detective work. You need to go through your bank statements and credit card statements for the past 3 months and identify every single recurring charge. I'm talking about everything. Streaming services, app subscriptions, gym memberships you haven't used since the pandemic started, magazine subscriptions that somehow still exist in 2024, software licenses for programs you downloaded once and never opened again. Here's a pro tip that most people miss. Don't just look at the obvious subscription services. Look for charges from companies you don't immediately recognize. Sometimes these services use billing names that are different from their consumer-facing brand names, so that meditation app might show up as something like Digital Wellness Solutions Incorporated. Once you've identified all these recurring charges, be ruthless. If you haven't used a service in the past month, cancel it. If you can't remember signing up for something, cancel it. If you're paying for multiple services that do the same thing, pick your favorite and cancel the rest. And here's the key part that separates this hack from just good intentions. Actually follow through and cancel them right now. Not later when you remember. Not next week when you have more time. Right now. For services you do want to keep, consider downgrading to cheaper plans. Do you really need the premium version of every streaming service, or would the basic plan with ads work just as well? Many people are paying for features they never use simply because they signed up for the highest tier plan and never reconsidered their actual needs. The second money-saving hack is what I call the grocery store game changer, and it can easily save you $2,000 or more per year without eating less food or sacrificing the quality of your meals. In fact, you might end up eating better than you do right now. Here's the reality check that most people need to hear. The average American household spends over $8,000 annually on food, and a huge portion of that spending is completely unnecessary. Not because people are eating too much, but because they're approaching grocery shopping in the most expensive way possible. The biggest mistake people make is shopping without a plan. They walk into the grocery store with good intentions but no strategy, and they end up buying random ingredients that don't work together, expensive pre-made meals because they don't know what to cook, and impulse purchases that catch their eye but don't fit into any coherent meal plan. But here's where the game changer comes in. And instead of shopping based on what you feel like eating in the moment, you start shopping based on what's actually on sale that week. This isn't about clipping coupons or driving to 5 different stores to save 50 cents on pasta sauce. This is about understanding that grocery stores rotate their sales in predictable patterns, and if you align your meal planning with these sales cycles, you can dramatically reduce your food costs without any sacrifice in quality or variety. The strategy works like this. Before you plan your meals for the week, check the sales flyers from your regular grocery stores. These are usually available online or through store apps, so you don't need to collect paper flyers like it's 1995. Look for significant discounts on proteins, produce, and pantry staples, then build your meal plan around these discounted items. For example, if chicken breast is on sale for half price this week, plan several chicken-based meals. If ground beef is discounted, maybe it's Taco Tuesday and Spaghetti Thursday. If certain vegetables are on sale because they're in season, incorporate those into your side dishes and salads. Research shows that families who consistently shop this way spend 20 to 25% less on groceries compared to shopping the same items at regular prices. Over the course of a year, this approach can save the average family over $1,500, and that's money that stays in your pocket without eating less food or buying lower quality ingredients. But the savings don't stop there. When you shop with a plan based on sales, you also reduce food waste because you're buying ingredients that work together in planned meals rather than random items that might spoil before you figure out how to use them. Food waste is essentially throwing money directly into the garbage, and meal planning eliminates most of this waste by ensuring everything you buy has a purpose. The third hack involves something that most people never think to negotiate, but it can save you hundreds of dollars every year with just a few phone calls. We're talking about your bills, and I know what you're thinking. Negotiating bills sounds about as fun as getting a root canal while listening to elevator music. But stay with me here because this hack is like finding money you didn't know you had, except it's money you've been overpaying for services that should cost way less. Here's what most people don't realize. Companies like your cable provider, internet company, phone carrier, and even insurance companies are absolutely terrified of losing customers. It costs them way more money to acquire new customers than it does to keep existing ones happy, which means they have built-in wiggle room in their pricing specifically designed to retain people who threaten to leave. But here's the problem. Most people never ask for better rates because they assume the price they're paying is fixed, like some sort of financial law of nature. They treat their monthly bills like death and taxes inevitable and unchangeable. Meanwhile, the people who do ask for discounts are getting the same services for significantly less money, sometimes 30 to 50% less. The strategy is surprisingly straightforward, but it requires you to channel your inner negotiator for about 15 minutes per bill. Call your service providers and tell them you've been comparing prices with competitors and you're considering switching unless they can offer you a better rate. Don't be aggressive or rude about it, just be matter of fact. You're a customer evaluating your options, and retention is cheaper than acquisition. Here's the script that works. Hi, I've been a customer for however many years, and I'm reviewing all my monthly expenses. I found that I can get the same service elsewhere for significantly less money, and I'm wondering what options you have to help me reduce my monthly bill so I can stay with your company. Then you wait. Let them make the first offer. Most of the time, they'll immediately transfer you to their retention department, which is staffed by people whose entire job is keeping customers from leaving by offering discounts that regular customer service representatives can't authorize. Like, these retention specialists have access to promotional rates, loyalty discounts, and package deals that aren't advertised to the general public. For internet and cable bills specifically, this approach can save you $40 to $60 per month. Phone bills can often be reduced by $20 to $30 monthly. Insurance premiums can sometimes be lowered by 10 to 20% just by asking and mentioning that you've gotten quotes elsewhere. The key is to actually have done some research beforehand. Spend 10 minutes online looking at what competitors are charging for similar services, so when they ask what better rates you found, you can give them specific numbers. This isn't about lying or making up prices, it's about being an informed consumer who knows the market value of what you're buying. And here's a bonus tip that most people miss. Even if they can't lower your monthly rate, they can often add value in other ways. Free premium channels for a few months, upgraded internet speeds at no extra cost, or additional services bundled in at the same price. Sometimes the total value of these additions is worth more than a simple price reduction. The fourth hack targets something that's probably happening in your house right now while you're watching this video, and it's costing you more money than you might think. We're talking about energy waste, and before you roll your eyes and assume this is about becoming some sort of eco-warrior who unplugs every appliance when not in use, hear me out. This hack is about making simple changes that require almost no effort, but can cut your utility bills by 20 to 30% every single month. The average American household spends over $2,000 annually on energy costs, and a huge portion of that spending is completely unnecessary, not because people are using too much electricity, but because they're using it inefficiently due to habits and settings that made sense when they were established but haven't been reconsidered in years. Here's the reality check. Your thermostat is probably set to temperatures that cost you hundreds of dollars annually in unnecessary heating and cooling costs. Most people set their thermostat to whatever feels comfortable when they're actively thinking about it, then never adjust it based on whether they're home, asleep, or away for extended periods. But here's where the hack comes in. By adjusting your thermostat just 2 degrees toward the outside temperature, you can reduce your heating and cooling costs by 10 to 15% without any noticeable difference in comfort. We're talking about setting your heat to 68 instead of 70 in winter, and your air conditioning to 76 instead of 74 in summer. The bigger savings come from programming your thermostat to automatically adjust when you're not home or when you're sleeping. If you're at work for 8 hours a day, there's no reason to heat or cool your house to the same temperature as when you're actively living in it. A programmable thermostat can save you 15 to 20% on energy costs by automatically adjusting temperatures based on your schedule. But the energy waste doesn't stop with temperature control. Electronics and appliances that are plugged in but not in use still draw power, something called phantom load or vampire power. This invisible energy consumption can account for up to 10% of your total electricity bill, which means you're literally paying for electricity to power devices that are doing nothing. The solution is simple, but requires developing new habits. Unplug chargers when they're not charging anything, use power strips for electronics, and turn off the entire strip when devices aren't in use. Replace old incandescent light bulbs with LED bulbs that use 75% less energy and last 25 times longer. Here's a specific example of how these changes add up. A household that implements programmable thermostat scheduling, unplugs electronics when not in use, switches to LED lighting, and fixes basic air leaks around windows and doors can easily reduce their monthly utility bills by $50 to $70. Over the course of a year, that's $600 to $800 in savings from changes that require minimal effort and no sacrifice in comfort or convenience. The fifth and final hack addresses the biggest money leak that most people don't even recognize as a leak. We're talking about high interest debt, and this financial vampire makes all the other money leaks look like pocket change. This isn't just costing you money, it's actively destroying your wealth building potential in ways that compound over time and keep you trapped in a cycle that benefits everyone except you. Here's the brutal truth that most people refuse to face. The average American household is carrying over $9,000 in credit card debt, and they're paying interest rates that would make a loan shark blush. We're talking about 15, 20, sometimes 25% annual interest rates on money they've already spent on things they probably can't even remember buying. But here's what makes this hack different from the others. While the previous 4 hacks were about stopping money from leaking out of your budget, this hack is about stopping money from being actively stolen from your future self. Every month you carry a balance on high interest debt, you're not just paying for whatever you originally bought, you're paying a penalty that grows exponentially over time. Let me put this in perspective with numbers that might make you want to throw your credit cards in a blender. If you're carrying that average $9,000 balance and only making minimum payments at 20% interest, you'll pay over $4,000 in interest alone over the time it takes to pay off that debt. That's $4,000 that could have been invested, saved, or used to actually improve your life instead of enriching credit card companies. The strategy for this hack requires more discipline than the others, but it provides the highest return on your effort. You need to attack high interest debt with the intensity of someone trying to put out a fire in their living room, because that's essentially what's happening to your finances. The most effective approach is called the debt avalanche method, and it works like this. List all your debts from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. Make minimum payments on everything, but throw every extra dollar you can find at the debt with the highest interest rate first. Once that's paid off, take the money you were putting toward that debt and add it to the minimum payment of the next highest rate debt. This method saves you the most money over time because you're eliminating the most expensive debt first. It might take longer to see the first debt disappear compared to paying off smaller balances first, but the math works in your favor when you're dealing with high interest rates. But here's where most people sabotage themselves. They try to implement this strategy while continuing the spending habits that created the debt in the first place. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a massive hole in the bottom. You can pour water in as fast as you want, but until you plug the hole, you're fighting a losing battle. This means you need to temporarily stop using credit cards for new purchases while you're paying down existing balances. I know this sounds obvious, but you'd be amazed how many people try to pay off debt while simultaneously adding new debt every month. Use cash or debit cards for purchases until you've eliminated the high interest debt completely. The psychological benefit of this approach is just as important as the financial benefit. Every payment toward high interest debt gives you a guaranteed return equal to the interest rate you're eliminating. If you're paying off a credit card with a 22% interest rate, that's like getting a guaranteed 22% return on your money, which is better than almost any investment you could make. There you have it. 5 money-saving hacks that can put thousands of dollars back in your pocket without turning you into some sort of financial hermit who hoards coupons and eats generic cereal for every meal. Cancel those subscription vampires. Shop the sales like a strategic genius. Negotiate your bills like your financial life depends on it. Stop paying to heat and cool the neighborhood, and eliminate high interest debt before it eliminates your future wealth. The math doesn't lie, and neither do your bank statements. Start with whichever hack feels easiest to you right now, because taking action beats perfect planning every single time. Your future self will thank you, and your current self might actually start enjoying those bank balance checks again.